What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. With the release of Hyacine, I think it's very appropriate to cover every sustain in the game and how well they work with every 3.0 DPS so far. By that I mean Anoxa, Castorice, Mydei, Aglaea, and the Hera. I will be updating this list as time goes on, and I will also be making update lists for the 2.0 DPS and backwards, I guess. But just for this list is going to only cover 3.0 DPS. So if you enjoy this type of content, let me know by liking the video, leaving a comment section below, and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, I will be doing Hyacine viewer polls and also Hyacine testing over at twitch.tv/isummonyt, and also I'll be live on YouTube when Hyacine drops later on tonight. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. The link in the description is going to take you to lootbar.gg, the trusted top-up site that allows you to buy currencies for your favorite Hoyo games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Zone Zero at a discounted price. Right now they have a 25% discount on Honkai Star Rail. They also have a 5-star rating on Trustpilot with over 18,000 reviews. The process is also very simple. All you need is your UID for your game and your server. Please make sure this information is correct. After that, you're going to select what pack you're going to purchase, and then after you click top up now and follow the payment information, you are going to receive your jades directly in your game in a matter of a minute or so. All right. What? The process is very simple, fast, and easy. So click the link in the description and get your discount on your Stellar Jades over at lootbar.gg. Okay, so we are going to work backwards. Anoxa was the last character that released, and Anoxa is a very versatile character that can be run hyper carry, could be run as a sub DPS. So as a hyper carry character, Anoxa is a very SP dependent character, so he will need a sustain that does not require a lot of skill points. So Hyacine will be a sustain that will require some skill points here and there to be able to sustain a team, especially going against the harder bosses that hit you a bunch of times, like Hule, for example. Even though Anoxa is one of those characters that can go and actually does a really good job going sustainless, if you are going to run a sustain, the sustain has to be very skill point efficient, and Hyacine in teams that consume a lot of skill points actually doesn't perform as well, because she does need to use some skill points, one, to keep her energy economy going, and two, to actually keep up with the heals. So for that reason, we are going to be giving Hyacine an A rating with Anoxa. That doesn't mean that she doesn't work with Anoxa. She does work with Anoxa. However, she is not the best option when it comes to sustaining an Anoxa team. Like I said, Anoxa teams, especially in a hypercarry scenario, they don't really need a sustain. But if you are going to run a sustain, there are better options. Like, in my opinion, Fushuan would be a better option. For one, Fushuan allows Anoxa to take even less damage than Anoxa already allows itself to take. Also, Fushuan gives you a much needed crit rate that Anoxa really wants, as well as more survivability by allowing you, one, to take less damage, and secondly, to increasing your HP, which also Hyacine does at a much higher caliber. But you also have the added benefit of taking less damage, increasing your crit rate, and also dealing a little bit more damage with Fushuan. So I think Fushuan is a fantastic option with Anoxa. Also, Fushuan does a little bit of healing, not too much, but just a little bit of healing with the ultimate. Not too much, but a little bit, which is enough to make her, with everything included, it is enough to make Fushuan an S tier character when paired up in the Anoxa team, in my opinion. Gallagher also, with the SP economy here, like I said, Anoxa doesn't require a lot of healing, but if you do need healing, Gallagher doesn't need the skill to actually heal here, right? Once you ult and put the besotted state on the enemy, Anoxa can pretty much heal itself back up to full. Another thing that Gallagher has over Hyacine is that Gallagher, he can also break the enemy, allowing it to deal less damage to Anoxa, also using way less skill points than Hyacine in those type of teams, which also makes it very strong. Adventurine, and also another character that uses a lot less skill points than Hyacine. Again, I'm not bashing on Hyacine. I think Hyacine is the best sustain in the game. I'm just saying in the Anoxa team, Hyacine is not the best because of skill point usage. But yeah, Adventurine uses virtually no skill points. If you need to use skill points on Adventurine, your Adventurine is probably under invested, so you probably need to invest a little bit more in your build. Lingsha, even though Lingsha sometimes may need to use some skill points, actually you do need to use skill points every now and then. Every couple turns you need to use skill points on Lingsha. The fact that she can heal without them makes her really good. And not only does she work on the Anoxa team, on the hypercarry Anoxa team, she also works on the hypercarry sub DPS team with the Hera. So she's actually the best in slot healer with the Hera, which we can just do right now, right? She's the best in slot healer for the Hera. So she works extremely well here for Anoxa as a hyper carry and also as a sub DPS. So yeah, Lingsha, very strong. Huohuo, in my opinion, best in slot healer for Anoxa, even though Huohuo doesn't have the best. I think Huohuo has a worse skill point economy than pretty much everybody here except Fushuan. The thing that makes Huohuo better than the rest is the energy funneling that Huohuo can do that nobody else can do that's in here. And this is specifically for hyper carry Anoxa teams. If we were talking about sub DPS Anoxa teams, then obviously we would talk about Lingsha being the best or the best sustain here. But the fact that Huohuo is the only sustain here that can energy funnel the way that Huohuo can, and pretty much can make Anoxa an ult monster, it makes Huohuo, in my opinion, the best sustain there is to run here, especially when coupled with Sunday. Luocha, I think Luocha is really strong. Like I said, Anoxa doesn't need a lot of healing. Luocha doesn't need to use skill points. So good healing with low skill point usage deserves an S tier here. Bailu, low amount of healing, skill point usage, B. Actually, good amount of healing, low skill point usage, with high skill point usage is a B. Depart's kind of tricky because you could freeze and that kind of acts as a sustain, but you actually have to use your skill points to freeze. So I don't think it's a great option here. March 7th, you have to use skill points to sustain. Lynx is not a bad option. You have to use skill points to heal. You cleanse AoE with your ultimate, which is not bad. It's just like, I don't know, like, it's not a great option either. I think she's just worse highest at that point. And then Lynx is just worse. I mean, and then Natasha is just a worse Lynx. Anoxa, like I said, he doesn't really need a lot of healing. So technically, Hyacinth could still be S tier. But the only thing I'm debating here is the skill point usage. But Hyacinth is so fast that she could technically gain some skill points back in the middle of taking hits. So she could be skill point neutral as well. But I mean, you know, if you want to put her on S, that's fine. I wouldn't argue too much about this, really. Like, if you want to put her on S, put her on S. I really don't care. I put her on A because she uses more skill points and she's also faster. So if you want to heal every turn without having to rely on your ult, you're going to have to cuck your Anoxa on the skill points a little bit. Moving on to Castorice, obviously Hyacinth, best in slot. Fortunately, not horrible with Castorice. She does have high HP. She does heal herself a lot when she does trigger her ultimate heal. And she does increase your team's HP. The thing is that she doesn't really heal Castorice at all. So she's not the best when it comes to that. She does provide you a little bit of crit rate and a little bit of damage bonus, but that's about it. Gallagher is insane for Castorice. We all know that. Adventurine, Garbo. Lingsha is actually not that bad either. Huohuo is not horrible either. You build her with HP, and she's actually not horrible. Luocha, I think, is S tier as well. Bailu is not great. Actually, I would probably move Bailu to C, in my opinion. Japard, probably D. March is probably D. Lynx is actually not bad. I put it in A. You do get the extra HP increase with the skill, which is not bad. And then I would put Natasha at like C because you do get a little bit of healing. So it's not horrible. All right, moving on to Mydei. I think Mydei and Castorice are very close when it comes to sustains. E2 Mydei and Castorice are pretty much 1-to-1, the same one. But E0 or E1 Mydei and Castorice do have a little bit of differences, just slightly, a little bit, not too much. Fushuan, not that great because this is actually a little bit worse. I think I'm going to put her in C. You do get the HP, you do get the damage decrease is actually not that horrible, but the thing that makes her a little bit worse in Castorice than in Mydei is that the healing that she does for herself actually does nothing for Mydei. So that's a little bit worse. Gallagher is pretty decent here. I'll put him in S. Adventurine does nothing for you. Lingsha is actually pretty decent, so I'll put her in A. Huohuo is actually very good. I think Huohuo here is very good because the energy funneling with Sunday makes this team really strong. I think Luocha passively healing as well is very good. Bailu is not that bad. I mean, Mydei doesn't use any skill points, so you can probably make this work a little bit better. Depart does nothing for you. March 7th does nothing for you. And then Lynx is actually very good, given that he is actually destruction and you do get taunt, an added taunt value. So if you don't have the light cone, you could get that added taunt value here on Mydei. So I think Lynx is actually an S tier sustain for your Mydei if you don't have like Gallagher, for example, right? And then Natasha, I'll give her like a C or something. I think Hyacinth with Aglaea is actually very good. It's not the best in slot, even though the extra memo spray on the field makes the fat fuck heal and heal more and deal more damage. So the team as a whole, it's very good. but that's not the best in slot healer for Aglaea personally. And you're going to see why I say that in a little bit. I think it's very, very good. Hyacinth is very good because even though Hyacinth is using all the skill points, right, to get more healing and get more damage, Aglaea doesn't use very many skill points. She maybe uses one skill point in the beginning, if that. And that's pretty much it. Everything else is basic. So yeah, even though she is not an HP scaling character, she does provide more survivability. Hyacinth does provide more survivability to everybody on the field, including the memo keeper, or the the garment maker, and to Aglaea. And in particular, this team archetype, which also has Mem and also has Sunday on the team, this would be a very, very good team to have little Ika, go crazy with the healing. So very, very good team in general. But for Aglaea specifically, this is not the best in slot. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. I'm pretty sure you already know where I'm going with this. Fu Xuan, not bad. You get a little bit of a crit rate, a little bit more survivability. I think this is a very, very good character overall. I think Fu Xuan would be an S tier character. And the thing is that Fu Xuan, the Matrix of Prescience on Fu Xuan is on Fu Xuan and not on Aglaea. So Aglaea being ultra fast doesn't affect the buffs on Aglaea. So Aglaea can go a billion trillion times and the buffs will still be on Aglaea, which is why I think Fu Xuan is still an S tier character here, because she makes you take less damage, she makes you tankier, she also gives you crit rate and makes you deal more damage. So she is actually a very, very good option here if you don't have anything else. And now that she's on the standard lose 50-50 banner, a lot of people are going to have Fu Xuan. So if you do have Fu Xuan, or you lost a 50-50 to Fu Xuan and this is all you have, she's actually not a bad option for a lot of these teams. Gallagher with Aglaea, he's okay. You know, he's just a regular sustainer at this point. He's just there to, like, he doesn't provide anything extra. He doesn't provide anything special. Extra break damage does nothing for Aglaea essentially. So it's just, he's just there. Like, if you don't have anybody else, Gallagher just works to keep your team alive, I guess, but he doesn't provide anything extra. Adventurine is not that great with Aglaea because the shield is on Aglaea, right? So it's actually not that great. I think this maybe actually be a C, because if Adventurine can't keep up with the shield, right? If you're not getting hit enough to where Adventurine can, like, refresh the shield enough, and your Aglaea is just going and going and going, your shields are gonna run out and you're not gonna have any sustain at all. So this is why Adventurine is probably a B or a C tier character when it comes to Aglaea, in my opinion. I know this is not making Adventurine look great, but it is what it is. Fast characters and Adventurine just don't go well together. It's just what it is. Lingsha is fine. You know, Lingsha is a decent character. Here, again, she's in the same boat as Gallagher. She doesn't provide anything extra. She's just a good healer. In this opinion, like, if you have Lingsha and you don't have another healer to run here, then you run Lingsha to keep your team alive. Nothing special. Huahua is definitely the best in slot here because of the energy funneling. Again, energy funneling is a very important thing in 3.0. As you can probably tell, and especially for a character like Aglaea that kind of depends on having her ultimate up, and then not having the ultimate up at least for one action value means that you lose out on a lot of damage because you have to restack Aglaea up again from zero. So losing your ultimate means a lot for this team. So that's why Huahua is super, super important, even if you have Sunday. The only way Huahua loses the best in slot spot here in favor of someone like Hyacinth, or I don't know, maybe Fu Xuan, for example, or even for a sustainless comp, it would be if you have like E1, for example. But even then, I would still run Huahua just to keep up, like, just to have the ultimate up 100% of the time, regardless of what happens. Luocha, very, very good. When you have the field up, you're always going to get healing, so it's fine. Bailu's okay. I mean, you don't really care for skill points, but Bailu's healing is not amazing. Hopefully, if she ever gets a buff, it's okay. Shielders are just not in a great spot ever, because, you know, these characters are HP scalers. This character is too fast to keep shield up, so it's rough. And then Lynx is the same thing. The healing is okay, but the buffs that she gives are not okay, because Aglaea is just going to outrun the buffs. And then lastly, Natasha, I think she doesn't have any buffs and her healing is a little subpar, so not that great. All right, last but not least, we have the Hera. The Hera teams are very skill point intensive, and Hyacinth is a character that Her main issue is skill point usage outside of HP scaling teams, and the Herta kind of wants to have a skill point, especially if you don't have the Herta's light cone. So if you don't have the Herta's light cone, you are going to be struggling in the skill point department a little bit. So having Hyacinth there is not that amazing. So she does get the job done if you are a little bit stingy or manage your skill point efficiency a little bit better than most people. So there is that. Fu Xuan doesn't provide that much. If you are struggling with crit rate, she could help. She will keep your team alive. Her ultimate does hit everybody, and she does get it pretty often. But that's about it. Like every turn, she's either getting you a skill point, or whenever she's ulting, she is hitting everyone. So if you are running Tribi, you are getting energy for Tribi, and you are also getting energy for Herta. So it's actually not horrible to run a Fu Xuan here. Gallagher, very good as well. His skill point positivity is very, very good. The thing is that obviously he's not getting you stacks for the Herta. He's also not getting you extra damage for the Herta. So you are kind of getting the same thing as Fu Xuan. The only thing is that Fu Xuan is actually getting you a little bit more because you're getting crit damage, damage bonus, and actually HP ups. So actually I'm going to move Fu Xuan up because you are getting a lot of stuff that you're not getting from Gallagher. So I may just move Fu Xuan a little bit up because she is giving you a lot more. Adventurine actually is very good with the Herta. Adventurine will keep you alive. The follow-up attacks will get you shield and will get you stacks for Tribi, will get you stacks and will get you energy and stacks for the Herta as well. Obviously, we talked about Lingsha already. Same deal with Adventurine, and will trigger even more times than Adventurine. We'll get you stacks for Jade. If you're running Jade, we'll get you stacks for Herta. We'll get you energy for Herta. We'll get you stacks. And we'll get you energy for Tribi as well if you are running Tribi in that team. So absolutely insane. So Adventurine and Lingsha are very, very, very strong. So if you don't have Lingsha, I say Lingsha is the best in slot. Adventurine is the second one. Fu Xuan is very, very good. I just don't like. Honestly, I would put if there was a tier in between A and S, I would put Fu Xuan there. But I feel like Fu Xuan is just better than Gallagher and Hyacinth in this point, because all of them are in the same boat. I just feel like Fu Xuan just gives you a little bit more. I don't feel good putting Adventurine and Fu Xuan in the same tier. I think Adventurine is definitely better than Fu Xuan. But I feel like Fu Xuan is definitely better than Hyacinth and Gallagher in a Herta team, for the Herta specifically, right? Similarly, I think Huahua is also very, very good. You get energy funneling, you get attack also, which is very, very valuable here. So Huahua's stonks are going up. Huahua is either best in slot or A or S in pretty much every single 3.0 DPS that we have so far. And then Luocha is very good. I mean, A tier will keep your team alive. The ultimate hits everybody, so that's stacks. And stacks and energy for pretty much every single team member that we have. Bailu is not that great. Maybe C because the healing isn't optimal. Depart, you're bad. March, bad. I mean, March could be decent because you do hit, but I'll give her a C. And then Lynx isn't great. You don't hit anybody, and Natasha is just not good here. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is this list a hit or miss? Do you like this format? Put it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys summoning for Hyacinth? Put it in the comments as well. Let me know. Until next time, guys. See ya.